Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline Comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to Kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Silverline Silver Sunday, this Sunday on January the 14th. I am your host, Admiral Man, and I'm joined by my usual cast, the top troublemaker, Mr. Tom Mason. Say hi, Tom.
Hi, everybody.
And, of course, as we go around the clock here, Mr. Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mask guy himself.
Hi, everybody.
And we are joined by Miss Cat and Mouse Colors herself, Roberta Conroy.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Well,
how is everybody? What you got on the TV back there? You watching the game?
That is Little Big Planet.
Okay.
The little one. He's kicked out though.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
Because the Lions game starts in a few minutes.
Is that the Snow Bowl? I heard that Brett was telling me, my son was telling me that one of the stadiums was paying people to come help shovel the stadium.
Yeah, Buffalo, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
$20 an hour.
Yeah, that's a lot of snow. Yeah, it got pretty cold down here too. Computer, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 49 degrees.
Oh, it's actually 49 degrees here. That's cold.
Mm-hmm. You bet. Why don't you have a sweater on, Roland?
I'm still wearing short pants too.
Oh no.
Now, when was the last time you actually wore long pants?
The last time I was in class.
Okay, in person class.
What's that? In person class? Yes.
Right.
Yeah. They do not let me wear shorts in the class.
Oh, you're banned. Dress code and all.
Although we were talking about Malibu here not too long ago, there used to be some folks that wore shorts to Malibu.
Lots of people wore shorts.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So
105 degrees there some days.
It was very California. What is it? Ed Hendricks would maybe or maybe not have shoes on.
Yeah. I don't think we ever had any kind of. I mean, maybe there's something in the handbook or something about looking, professional, but I don't think anybody really cared.
Yeah,
I know that there's a panic when the executive staff thought that an important person might come through.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was,
they cleaned it up, everyone.
XYZ is coming through, so no swearing and take down,
We
some
had
of
to
your
take
crazy art.
down
And,
all of our artwork from the board, because we had all our
Yeah.
personalization. And
I think I remember
stuff.
someone was coming in and asked me one time. He said, can you maybe not wear your crack kills shirt? Because I used to, I had that T-shirt that had that. How can I explain it? Had a great big rear end.
Mhm.
And with a flossy on, and the T-shirt said
Wow.
"Crack Kills."
Man, I wish I remembered that. That is funny.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because the Black Sabbath guy who came in,
Ozzy.
No, I never
No,
saw
he
Ozzy. He
didn't.
didn't come in the office.
I wish Ozzy would come in.
I
That'd be
know. Geezer
I-
Butler.
I didn't come that day
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. I
Well, that's
missed him.
cool.
I got a picture with him, and I'm wearing that T-shirt. Because no one told us he was coming in, and I just happened to be, I had my hair in a ponytail, and I had my T-shirt, and I'm wearing short pants, and there's Geezer Butler, and I'm like, I have to get my picture made with Geezer Butler.
Did Lita come into the office?
Lita came into the office, yeah,
Yep.
she sure did. I don't recall what I was. I don't recall my wardrobe that day. I do remember Alm asking me a time or two, maybe wear jeans tomorrow. It wasn't. I don't remember him ever demanding it, but
Right.
you know how Alm would always kind of say, maybe you should wear some jeans tomorrow.
That's a nice suggestion.
Yeah,
The unwritten rule was just make comics.
yeah.
And you don't need to.
Yeah.
People are under intense pressure anyway, and the deadlines are really tough, and there's a lot going on. The length of a pants is not really going to be an issue.
Right. Yeah. I don't
I
ever
think
remember.
it's just an optics thing for, all of the parades of people that had to come through and look at us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the tourists.
No, that's right, all the tourists. Well, and the funny thing too was that if you kind of took our office and compared them against the East Coast offices, where I think Mike Giles was talking about it the other day. It's like he walked in, they're all wearing suits and ties, and it's like I remember that being the case when we met with the Marvel editors. They were all wearing ties, but they were pretty spiffy.
When I went there to the Marvel offices, all of the marketing guys had like an extra suit and a dry cleaning bag hung up on the interior of their door in their office. So in case they had to go somewhere on an emergency basis after work, they could change into a fresh suit, and they would.
Gosh!
They would look all nice and spiffy clean, not like they'd been working all day. I was like, I don't ever want to work like that.
No, I might have brought a fresh T-shirt.
Right. I showed up. We got called to a Marvel meeting for some kind of marketing thing where they had like 15 or 20 Marvel people in a conference room and all of their sales reps, and they had some outside consultants in there. It was all very sort of formal and spiffy. I wore jeans and a sweatshirt and like 30-year-old tennis shoes. I just what guys? What? This is
I see.
I wasn't dressing up or dressing down. That was me.
You tended to pull your sleeves up, didn't you? You would wear a long sleeve, something long sleeve, and you'd pull them up. Like you're doing it right there.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I
times
recall
don't
that.
change.
Yeah, nope. I'm still wearing T-shirts.
Yeah,
Right.
I like my T-shirts.
I think one of the joys of being independent or freelance or working from home or whatever is the sort of trade-off is that I'm going to wear my own pants.
Right. Quite literally.
Yeah. I'm not going to wear your pants.
No. So I know some of you may have tuned in expecting to see a guest tonight. Unfortunately, got a message from our guest, and he is sick.
I'm sorry.
So we hope that he.
Schedule, I hope.
What's that?
Reschedule, I hope.
Reschedule. He's already said he would reschedule. Wasn't sure it was COVID. I don't think he'd taken a test, but he was sick nonetheless. So hopefully, once he is better, he will reach out to me and say, "I'm better. Let's do this," and we'll get him back on and ask him all kinds of
based on past experience. You want him when he's at the top of his game.
Yeah, I don't want him to be going sniffling and snorting.
Although,
I don't know.
That could drive up ratings.
Scott Rosenberg has COVID on the stream. And of course, then then we'd start hearing Silverline was irresponsible and we're spreading COVID through the stream.
That's right. Wait, you can do that?
That's so they tell me, I guess.
I saw it on the internet.
It's right. It must be true.
It must be true.
That's right. So we as we would do in comics sometime, we reached to the shelf and pulled out an inventory story. This is not going to be a replay. This is not going to be a replay, right? But this is one that I've been hanging on to a while, and I know that Mr. Belcher has some words to say about it because he sent me some messages. We're going to talk about motion comics. So I'm going to talk just a minute, and then you guys chime in before we. But one of the things is that motion comics have been around for a while, and there are a lot of people who want motion comics to happen. People have tried them. I'm going to show Dark Horse. Dark Horse tried them. The video that I'm looking at here says it was uploaded 8 years ago. We're going to watch a little bit of that. I'm not going to be able to watch it with sound because I think if I try to do that, I think we might get hit with a copyright strike. Yeah. So we'll just show the video and watch it. The sound is not really what we're worried about anyway. It's the animated part, right? These are called, and I've got a paraphrase from our good buddy Mr. Hank Knauts that I will tell you a little bit later. Okay. We do have a couple of comments here. Pop says, "Hey yo, what's up, Pops? Good to see you."
Hey,
Mr. Rob Davis. Hey Rob.
Hey,
Rob. So yeah, motion comics is one of those things I think that people really want to work. There's a lot of people, myself included, I would like to see motion comics work. The problem from my perspective is I just haven't.
Yep.
Anybody got any other thoughts before I?
Yeah, it to me, it always seems like it's something that executives want to happen because it's like they think it's a cool, hot new thing, and it's cheaper than doing full animation, and it's just slightly more expensive than doing actual comic books. But it always just looks like a cheap way out.
I have this problem where animation is it fills a void that I think they're trying to get at with the motion comic.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that, actual comics, it takes a lot of thought for those artists to come up with a way to visualize motion. And that is talent.
Yes.
And they're trying to take away from the fact that you actually conveyed it properly visually and say, look, people don't get it. So they got to make it move so you understand it.
Right.
It's like, no, if you have good art, you understand it. You don't need
I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, discussion's over.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Good night, everyone. Yeah. I got a comment here.
I'm on with Roberta.
I haven't seen. I know this name. Mr. David Ace Gutierrez says it's like those old Marvel cartoons. Hang around just a minute. I'm going to show a little bit of one.
That's exactly what that stuff is.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. The Lance Gantry, right?
Gantry, I think it is, but yes, he's correct.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that. What's the Lance Gantry?
Yeah, Lance Gantry is the studio that did it. They took old Kirby artwork from the comics and they
made
a move.
Yeah,
and they would just like move the eyeballs or move the mouth, and then it was just move the arm up and down.
You mean
little things?
Maybe like this?
What we got?
Tony Stark.
Oh, I love that.
He's a cool exec with the heart of steel.
And Iron Man, all jets ablaze. He fights and slides with
This is from 1966. Iron Man. This is episode 8.
If I was an 8-year-old kid in '66, then that would look like cartoon. But when you see
Oh,
real
the
cartoons-
dramatic music, I love it.
Oh, you can hear the music.
One of the many
you
factories
hear the
is a
music.
vast industrial complex of
Oh, dadgummit, I was trying to avoid the music so we don't get any kind of. See, look, there ain't nothing moving there, right?
No, nothing moving there either.
Look, just the mouth
Yep,
right
just
here.
mouth.
Right.
But
well, yeah.
look at the art, though. That was the best thing about those things. I ate
Yep.
those up in the 80s. I had never seen them before. I didn't even know they existed. And on a perusal at the old, video store, there they were. I ate those up.
Yep.
As corny as they are,
Mhm.
just appreciate them for the art, the
But
Kirby
they
art,
weren't
the heck art.
corny when
Yeah.
you look,
I
when you
mean,
saw
come
them back
on.
then, right? Comic Chat Authority, what's up? Says hello, Roland. What's up, Cody? How are you, man? Good to see you here. Rob Davis says Shatter, Shatter from First Comics in the 1980s, tried animated comics, pretty crude by today's standard, but pretty amazing. But it never spawned anything else.
Yeah.
So that's so this was 1966, right? So let me stop sharing this.
And those things are really, they're like 7-8 minutes long. They're not
Yeah.
it's not, you're not going to watch a 90-minute movie like that.
No.
And they got worse from there.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Stop. Why is it still
That
going?
was the pinnacle, and then it just dropped from there.
Yeah.
'cause
Well,
that one's at least interesting.
So
Yeah.
this is a dark horse. Let me share again. Present.
So this is
here we go.
about 30, 40 years after the fact, right?
Yes, right. Yes, that's kind of the point that I wanted to make, is that there have been a lot of years between that old Iron Man one and the one that we're about to watch here, right? I think I got to turn the sound off here. This says it was, again, the tab says it was uploaded 8 years ago, so I can't do math. What does that make? 17?
Probably.
Yeah.
16.
Okay. So here we go. This is Conan from this is a Dark Horse motion comic.
The coloring's better.
They probably use Photoshop.
I don't like the way the waves move.
It moves like cutouts still.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like paper puppets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this doesn't work for me at all. This
Yeah,
is
it's just
what I'm
kind of
talking
hard
about.
to.
Yeah. Have y'all seen this one before?
No.
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 Yeah. Well, and
I
that's
need to see it again though.
well, and that's, I think that's part of the problem is you look at it, it's like I look at it just on the look alone. It's like I don't really want to watch this. And
Yeah. For any length of time, it hurts the eyes.
yeah.
Right. I'd almost rather watch a terrible Ralph Bakshi cartoon.
This looks like a story that you're forced to watch in school or something. To teach you.
Right.
Yeah, so
Film strip.
they're gonna teach me about not
I
eating
know, right,
paint
Mike?
or fire safety or
Or history or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah. So
It's not entertainment.
our
That's-
good buddy Hank Knopf one this goes back probably about 5 years. When I was I got to have lunch with him when I came out to San Diego, and we were talking about, I was talking to him about some of the things that he was planning to do. He was at DC still at the time, and I asked him about motion comics, and he said, the problem with motion comics, he says, is that it always just looked like cheap animation. And he goes, nobody wants to see cheap animation. He goes, a motion comic looks like cheap animation. So if we're going to do, he goes, and we're killing it. This is DC Comics, right? He goes, and we're killing the animation. And they were, right? I mean, DC animation is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, why would we want to do that? There's no reason for us to really do it when we have.
Because it costs less.
Yeah. Ace said that was like watching an animatic.
The only way to do it is if you figure out a way to create it as originally done for that format. Like I don't think it's what Roberta said earlier. Don't take an existing comic book which is already designed to simulate motion,
right,
and then make that into some sort of cheap looking animated film strip. Try to come up with something clever that utilizes the drawbacks and the advantages of motion comics and tell a story that way. You would you wouldn't take a radio drama and put it on screen.
Yeah.
Right.
You would adapt it in some other way. And if you were going to do a story for radio, then you would figure out a way to just use voice and sound effects to get those same effect. You have to create for the medium, not try to adapt something that pre-exists as a comic into some new thing.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem, because I think that Conan, we all know the Iron Man one was, but I think the Conan was also just taken from one of the Dark Horse comics.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just, photoshopped it up.
And if you tell me it's a motion comic, but the motion is just a guy raising his arm up and back, moving his sword back and forth like this, I'm not really
right.
That's not Chuck Jones to me. That's not Tex Avery to me. That's not Bruce Timm to me. That's not anything.
It's half done. I mean,
Right.
nothing about it ever looks good. I think one of the worst ones I ever sit through for like 5 minutes was Watchmen. Watchmen, the motion comic.
I did not watch that.
It came with the Watchmen movie. I put it in for 5 minutes and I had to turn it off because, it was basically everything we're complaining about. And then it was one guy doing all the voices. He was doing the female voices. It's like, how much tackier can you make this? Oh, let's just have one guy do all the voices. It was just such an eyesore, and it just was painful to watch.
And that's the thing. We love this stuff.
Yeah.
I would love it if somebody could find a way to make those things work to entertain me.
Right.
But so far, because I'm not against any sort of thing that would entertain me or make it interesting that is in the comic book form.
But I mean, look at some of the stuff we already support, right?
Right, yeah, that's right. All the stuff that we nerd out over.
Right.
So it's
and that's what I'm about to. We got a few comments here, but that's what I'm about to put up and ask you guys. Let's consider this. David Rio says, "Hey all, what's up, David? Good to see you here." He says the Star Wars New Republic uses motion stuff in their ad.
Advertising's a different animal.
Yeah.
He says, sorry, the High Republic ads. Ace says Watchmen was rough.
There you go.
And David says, how about the old Fantastic Four cartoon where the top part of the body was stationary, but the legs were running? Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera just in general.
Yeah, a lot of Yogi Bear cartoons are like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me let's see. Ace says Marvel took an unsuccessful shot at it with the Bendis Malieve Spider-Woman. I didn't see that. But all right, so we all love this, right? We all know what this is.
Sure.
So,
well, we know what that is.
Yes, we know what that is. But I guess so. My question, kind of for discussion, is why do we hate on the motion comics, but love the?
We've seen the
this
original.
Evolved.
Yeah.
I thought it was cheesy when I was a kid. I knew that.
I didn't. I loved it.
I liked it because it was entertaining.
Yeah,
but
so that's it's entertaining. It has all the advantages that we've been talking about. It uses different character voices.
Yes.
So it's got real actors portraying the characters and sort of bringing them to life. And that
it was funny.
It's
and
funny.
There's no comparison. We're not comparing it against the comic
stuff. And it's even though it's limited, you can see that there are just the eye move or just the neck moves or whatever.
Yeah.
But the it's created for the format.
Yes. And I think that's what Mike said as well. For me, I think that's the key, is that this animation, if we're just talking about the animation of itself, is really not much better than what we saw for the others, right?
Right.
But we weren't fans of the comic books, the Flintstones, before this came out. Right. So we weren't comparing them to saying, hey, this is a motion comic book of this Flintstone. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a motion comic book of the Flintstones that they're just changing.
Right. They're not adapting the old comic book and using the tear sheets to sort of loosely animate the old material. This is new material created for the format.
It was his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add one more point to it? I think also is that it's meant for the skit. The writing and the good jokes are what carry it, not the art. It's like, if it was moving and visually stunning, you might not even be listening to it as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they took advantage of the fact that because the Bullwinkle show is the same way.
Yeah.
Bullwinkle animation is basically terrible
And the
But
Jetsons.
the writing and the voices carry it, and they wrote specifically because they knew they were going to have this sort of cheap, affordable animation.
Yes.
And they made the writing stronger, and it made the voices stronger, and that carries it.
David says, Welch's product placement.
Yeah, that's funny.
Rob Davis says, that's the Flagstones. And then Pop says, you leave Wilma alone. Wilma is why I love redheads.
You don't call them redheads anymore.
Wait, what are they?
Aren't they gingers?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that like, that's not official, right? That's just kind of.
No, I think that's just sort of the Reddit term.
Okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because my son's dating a redhead, and they kind of use both terms
interchangeably.
Yeah, I've never heard her refer to herself as a ginger.
Well, maybe it's a slur then, and I shouldn't say it.
I don't know that. I don't
think it is.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
Here's a new voice here. Waving Captain Affinity Temporus Maximus is waving. Hello, CFTM. Glad to see you.
Be his real name.
It may not be his real name. Yeah. Here's a trivia from Rob. Rob says the Flintstones were first conceived as the Flagstones. That first piece you showed was the plot for the show. Well, I did not know.
And they'd had to change the name because Flagstone is the last name of High and Lois, which is the comic strip.
Well, I did not know. Wait, now we're getting Winston.
Whoa, dang.
That's
a lot of product in there.
How times have changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay. This is a cartoon compilation. So
yeah, these are actual commercials. They're not really from the show.
Okay. All right.
I'm glad I just didn't watch that as a kid. I'm like, wow, that.
I could have been smoking for decades if I'd seen this.
Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. All right, that's what I meant to do. Yeah, so let me stop that there. So yeah, that was kind of one of the things that I kind of wanted to point out is that, you know, I'm a big fan of the Flintstones. I love the Jetsons, right? Rocky and Bullwinkle. But if you watch those and just take them and put them side by side by some of the motion comics that we showed, they're not really of higher caliber or higher quality, right? So one of the things that I kind of wanted to get in here for discussion was why is it okay for them, and why do we accept those? But yet when the Iron Man motion comic or when the Dark Horse motion comic comes on, we go ooh 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 ooh.
I don't think we turn up our nose at it. It's just like, oh, that's a stupid thing.
Well, it comes across more commercial. I mean, those cartoons.
Yes.
That was the animation style at the time. You know,
that was all they could do.
But they were doing those production values for the time. I mean, they were at least putting the voices right.
Yeah.
You know, sound effects. It was a production. It was a produced show.
I think
every motion comic, just about every motion comic I've ever seen, is a byproduct. It's an advertising. It's a marketing. It's just a little add-on. It's never a fully, just flat out, because if you're going to do it, you might as well do animation.
Right. Exactly.
It's the place between comics and animation that nobody asked for.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. It's solving a problem that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
That's it.
Because how disciplined, because you guys are creators, Mr. Roland and Mr. Mike. You have your own properties, Cat and Mouse and Man in the Mask. And what do you want? Do you want your next step to be a motion comic for Cat and Mouse and the Man in the Mask, or do you want it to be like a Bruce Timm kind of animation 30-minute show? Right?
I would love that. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Because when you look at Man in the Mask, to me the logical step is there's the comic book. Oh, that looks like a thing that Bruce Timm would do for Warner Brothers Animation, so I'd want to see it as that next. Exactly. And then if that became a live action movie, then I'd want to see that next. I don't want to see, the Turkish cinema version of Man in the Mask, and I don't want to see the motion comic version of Man in the Mask.
No.
I want to see those three steps. I want to see the comic book, then I want to see the animated series, then I want to see the live action movie, and that's
right.
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
Anything else, and even if they paid Mike a lot of money for the motion comic, and then Mike told me, I didn't want to do it, but they gave me a lot of money, then that's fine. I still don't want to see it. I want to see it.
No.
I want to see it in the order.
I want to say, bravo, Mike. I'm glad you got a lot of money.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not gonna get upset with anybody that takes any kind of money for their stuff. But for me, what I want to see is the comic book, then the animated series, then the live action movie, or the animated feature like Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
That sounds.
That's it, because to me, that's a quality essential.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a late joining, Mr. Thomas Formonte.
Hey.
What's up?
Howdy.
He
Are
is
you
in
in Jim Bowie's
location
room?
unknown.
Location unknown. We can't talk about it. Otherwise, I'd have to kill you.
Are you at the Alamo?
He's got a big star behind him.
They had a Jim Bowie for me.
Yeah, Jim Bowie, Jim Bridger, all the other Jims, right?
Let you know where I'm at. It's really cold.
Well, I'm not going to show my legs again, Tommy, but I've already shown that I'm wearing shorts today down here in Florida. So
when I left yesterday, it was almost 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And today, what's today?
In Florida?
No, what are you today? I mean, what's the
It's
temperature right
the low right now. It's 11, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good grief, that's cold.
It's going to get colder. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be colder.
I'm at 19 so far.
Yeah, I'm at 18.
Wow.
There we go.
Good grief.
Yikes, guys.
Dave says, looks like Tom is back home. Yeah, I see the dinosaurs for hire. Yep. One Tom came home, the other Tom left.
That's right.
We can't occupy the same space.
That's right.
No, it'd be like they would know that we're the same person. And it's that kind of thing.
Matter, antimatter. You can't be in the same.
That's right.
Exactly.
Rob says, heck, the original Barney Rubble was voiced by Mel Blanc. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah. Man of 1,000 voices or something like that.
Although it's funny, if you close your eyes, they're only like 4 voices.
I know, that's true. Yeah. Well, it's funny because as my kids got a little bit older, I didn't do it when they were younger because, you don't want to spoil the magic for them. But as they got a little bit older, I would close their eyes and I would say, who is that? And they would say, that's Bugs Bunny. And then I'd open it and it'd be some, not Bugs Bunny. And they're like, well, I'm like, yeah, it's the same dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy, we've been, you missed the videos. I showed some videos here. I'm not going to re-show them for you because you missed them, but we're talking about motion comics tonight. We've all kind of put in thoughts. You got some thoughts on motion comics and why they stink so bad?
It's because I don't think there's well, I don't know what you guys talked about. I don't think there's a really good definition of what one is supposed to be, because once they become too good, then it's just a cartoon.
Yeah.
And that's not what a motion comic is supposed to be. But most of the ones that I consider motion comics are kind of crappy, like you say. Yeah. So I don't know. I've always liked motion comics. I always liked the idea of motion comics, but I don't think I've seen one that I really was like, that's pretty cool.
Well, I kind of hinted at that a little bit earlier. Is I kind of like the idea of it.
Yeah, I really like the idea. I think it'd be neat.
But so what about you guys remember what's it called? Crap.
So how about those early, like the early Marvel ones and the DC ones that were, where the heads were still and the mouths would just go.
We showed those.
That's kind of a motion comic, but those were cartoons because there was still full. Some of the times there was actually full motion or full animation going on, rather than just a static head with a.
Yeah, but they were just repurposing the existing artwork.
Yeah.
And then like the old Scooby Doo's. I mean, a lot of times you remember the background that would just keep repeating over and over as they're running. Yeah.
Well, the Flintstones house is the longest house in the world.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, so what about where does you guys remember the Comixology, right?
Yes.
They had that directed reading. Did y'all remember any of that?
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got so mad with that thing. It kept zooming out on me and zooming in and moving, and I was like, I'm not done looking.
Didn't CrossGen have some animated stuff too at one time?
Hang on. So for those who don't know, directed reading, what it would do is it would take an entire comic book page, which I don't. I have that.
Oh, and then it would kind of
and then it would zoom in.
panel.
But here's it didn't always show the whole panel. It
Right.
would sometimes just say part of the panel so that you can and it would read. I think someone read the dialogue to you, so it'd read the dialogue, right, and then it just kind of shift around, right, as you. And it was like.
At one point, there was a company in Orlando that reached out to us that wanted to get with us with our Indie Planet, the Kablam line of, Kablam is a printer, but Indie Planet is the online comic shop part of Kablam.
Right.
And they were wanting to work a deal out with us where pretty much they could take any comic and do what you just said. Basically, it was just a directed, basically a page would flash up and then it would zoom in on the first panel and then kind of go to panel and you click the next, and it would kind of just shift around.
Yeah.
But I don't know if is that a
because to me
that actually it made me angry. Yeah, seriously angry because it was art that I wanted to look at and it took it away from me.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the end of every one of their examples they showed us, it would then blow out, right? You know what I mean? So you'd see the whole page in kind of comicology style, where you see the whole page. But you could zoom in on whatever you wanted. But it kind of did a directed thing.
I think that's the backwards way to read a comic, though.
I
think so too.
I read the comic where the eye flows.
Right, exactly.
Right where the dialogue just starts.
And I like to be able to. So it's the difference between like a webtoon thing and regular comics. Like in a webtoon where you're scrolling up, it's designed to be read scrolled up.
Like a scroll, yeah.
It moves up or up.
They create it for that format, and that's fine. And a comic book to me is designed where I turn it and I see the whole page. I see the storytelling that the artist and the writer and the letterer and the colorist have all put their time in to craft it so that my eye follows the page, and I can step back and I can see the whole page as everybody has intended it.
Right.
I don't want to read a comic book panel to panel and then have the page revealed to me. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah.
I want to see the page.
That's why this company never lasted very long. Didn't Comixology actually do that too? Don't they have this feature? Yeah, where it would do that same thing. Yeah.
They did, but they stopped. I know.
Yeah, because it sucked because it doesn't work very well.
I think they called it directed reading. I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
And that just sounds like something from third grade where they're just trying to goose me along. Now, Tom, here's some directed reading for you later today.
Ding,
ding. And the problem, and I had to say, a problem you guys had is that a comic page is laid out for you to view the entire page, not just the panel at a time, right? And so in the directed reading, when you're zooming in on just that panel, you're taking that part of the process away from me as a consumer, as a reader to gather that all in.
And I'll go even further in the nerd area. When you buy a page of original art, you buy a page of original art. No one says
not that panel. I just want that first panel, please. And then you see
the panel with Batman in it. Yeah. You can have the rest of the page. I just want that panel with Batman.
That's why just cut that out for me.
Who was that company in the early 2000s that was going around trying to get everybody to do those kind of things? They had a whole platform. I'm trying to remember the name of that
Motion
company.
Comics?
Yeah. I mean, I downloaded. I filled out some paperwork because that's kind of when I started the Kid Hero stuff, and I filled out the. I downloaded their whole. They had a whole engine in a whole library of stuff that you can get, and I started playing with it a little bit, but I never got very far.
Because Malibu Comics experimented with this kind of stuff too.
Did you do the same thing? Yeah.
The CD-ROM comics,
right? Weren't they called CD-ROMics?
CD-ROMics, and they're
CD-ROMics.
They're terrible because all they do is they would just cut the comic books up and they move it panel to panel and they add some sound and they add some music and they add some stuff. It's just it's a terrible comic book experience, and it was $24.95 for one comic.
It was terrible. It was $24.95.
Yeah. So are we trying to say that if you try to take a comic and convert it into a motion comic, then it's terrible? But if you took the art and you were trying to animate something to start off with, then it's just a cartoon, and so it's not a motion comic. So maybe there isn't a thing called motion comics.
Hank heard that I quoted him. Hey, Hank. Good
Made
to see
Fire.
you here, Hank.
Hi.
Made Fire. What's Made Fire?
That's it. That's exactly. Hank got it right. He nailed it. Thanks, Hank. That was what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I downloaded the whole deal. I didn't sign a contract, but I did a whole a preliminary contract, I guess, and I was going to convert Little Name So-So into it. I think I did the first issue where you would suck your thing in and start, and then it had like limited animation stuff where it would actually, do in betweens for you, so you can kind of, and then I just quit doing it.
It's like
Mayfire. That was it. You got it right. Thanks, Hank.
I did quote you earlier on from a few years ago where you and I. Hank says that's why my ears were burning. That's exactly it. Yeah. When you said you and I were talking at San Diego, and we were talking about some of the things that you had planned coming up. And I asked you about motion comics, and you said no. The problem with motion comics is they just look like cheap animation. So I was quoting you on that. Ace says regarding Thomas's comment on CrossGen, I remember the dialogue, balloons, and sound effects guiding the reader through the page, but didn't have any actual motion.
It was that thing that company wanted to get with us, where it would just kind of zoom from panel to panel, and that's what he's talking about.
These are all terrible ideas from people who don't.
Yeah, and that's not motion. I mean, the only thing that's motion about that is the stinking camera zooming from panel to panel. That's not motion comic.
You get motion sickness.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The only people who want to make motion comics a thing are the same kind of people who don't understand comic books at all.
Yeah,
and I will stand by that.
Well, okay. Let me throw this at you then. So, if you were to actually get it, okay, you ready? You're sitting down. Everybody looks like they're sitting down. I'm laying down, so you can kind of. But how would you do a motion comic that's not a cartoon? So, is there really a thing called motion comics? How would you do it?
What I would do is I would not take an existing comic book.
Right.
Cut it apart to make it move.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would get together with people who understood the technology, and I would get together with people who understood comics, and I put the two of them in a room, and I would come up with an original thing that utilized the best that comics can do and the best that the motion technology can do, and see if we can't come up with something that's not a hybrid or not a reuse or repurpose of existing stuff, but that was something new and interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
The story that way.
I totally agree, but wouldn't that be South Park? Because remember, at South Park, you kind of used that Flash animation package. Remember when where it was just the little figures and there was just limited animation of the figures kind of standing. So would that be?
It's the same thing.
Jib jab, exactly that kind of thing.
If you said, Tom, do something for Webtoon, I wouldn't want to take an existing comic and cut it apart to make it into those little strip squares. I would want to come up with something original that was made for the format.
And those Webtoons ones where they do that they're pretty crappy, because all of a sudden you get a panel that's like this big with black on the sides because they tried to shove the panel.
You're taking a work that and I know other people are involved in the process of comics. So I'm just going to use artists as the example. You take an artist who's designed the page to be done as a comic book page, and now you're just cutting up that page as if that storytelling didn't matter and making it fit in the little box of the Webtoon strip. And you shouldn't do that. You should create something specific for the format.
Yeah.
So unless someone's paying me a lot of money, and then I don't care anymore.
Right. Then I'll do it.
I'll do it.
You want what? Sure. I got you.
Yeah, if you're going to pay me tons of money, I will do that.
Yeah. Rob says perhaps it's like animation in the new Cosmos TV show. It was actually pretty interesting.
Because it was done specifically for the show. They didn't take some old 1950s movie and chop it up.
I haven't seen that, so
it was originally drawn for that.
I think anytime you're trying to repurpose something from one format to the other, it's always going to look terrible.
Yeah.
Even if you have the best of intentions.
Yeah. Tom Mason nailed it. There are two different visual languages, says David Ace Gutierrez.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too. And so here's a question I have for you. All right. So if I'm hearing this right, and you guys correct me if I'm hearing this, if I'm not hearing it right.
We will.
Yes, I know that. So we have comics and we have animation, right?
Yeah.
And any attempts to some sort of motion comic in between them, collectively, we have all kind of agreed have failed. So is it because we can't, old school folks, we can't visualize something in between? Because like you said, unless someone's throwing a lot of money at me, I'm like, I don't really want a motion comic. I want.
Can I
either do a comic or do a cartoon and be done with it.
I feel like the cartoons have a place.
Yeah.
And I feel like the comic books allow your imagination to fill in the gaps, and I think a motion comic takes that away from you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah. That's why.
Well, what about comics that people have? This is kind of a different take on that. So we're saying that we don't want a motion comic book, but are we okay with an audio comic book based off of what you're saying, where you're doing all of the dialogue and the sound effects and all that stuff in your head? Are those okay?
Just reading an old comic book to me.
Yeah, and we've had those.
Create something for the format.
Yeah, but do we? Oh, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, don't just read me a
I want to make up my Batman voice in my own head. I don't want your Batman voice. I want my own Batman voice.
You guys remember Power Records, right?
Well, I've already got the Batman. It's either Adam West or Kevin Conroy.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. But you guys remember Power Records, right?
Yep, I remember all that. I had a bunch of those.
Well, I don't have them anymore, but they're really easy to find on YouTube. So I remember I had the one that I can still hear.
The one that you would go, turn the page.
These went, they beat.
Yeah.
But the one I still remember was like Captain America 178 or something like that. And it was Captain America and the Falcon fight in Phoenix. And of course, Falcon was some real 1970s, hip jive talk. Hey, Cap, it was funny.
I had a Hulk that I remembered the Hulk's voice, regardless of who was on there. The Hulk would go, "Turn the page."
I had that one. One too.
Yes. A big comment here. Hank says, generally speaking, not a huge fan of motion comics, but the way Tom is describing it, we did that with Burn Notice at DC, which turned out pretty good.
There.
Also, a never seen Lord of the Rings motion comic made specifically for mobile turned out great. They were both pre-webtoons and made from scratch for mobile and tablet format.
There, create for the format.
Yeah, create.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah,
which I think is the point Roberta made like 25 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah. Roberta's always right. Roberta's always right.
No, I'm not, but sometimes you gotta look.
And Ace says, I think the best of both worlds is what we've seen in the Spider-Verse movies.
Sort of, yeah, because they kind of keep the old printing style when they were doing all I love those Spider-Verse movies.
I still call that animation.
They weren't repurposing old.
I do too.
It is animation, but they tried to keep it like a comic strip.
It's just stylized.
I would agree with Roberta here. It's just stylized animation. I don't think that I don't.
It's going to be back in theaters this weekend, by the way.
Oh, really? The first one?
That is great.
I don't know if it's the first one or the second. I think it's the second.
I missed the second one. So I saw half of it on the plane. I need to watch the rest of it.
The second one is just as great. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I haven't seen the second one yet. I need to see
it.
I need to see it, yeah.
Oh, I highly recommend it. If you love the first one, you will love the second.
You will love it.
Yeah, I did. I still say though, and Tom, I know Mr. Mason agrees with me here.
Yes.
Best Batman movie, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman.
You cannot go wrong. I've seen it like 20 times.
Me too.
It's good.
In fact, we watched Flash today, the new Flash movie, which I had not seen.
It's not bad.
There was a moment in that movie where I expected Michael Keaton to start singing the Lego movie from the Lego, because he's like because he pulls a line straight from the Lego movie. And I'm like, okay, he's about to start singing,
Yeah.
always bet on black.
It is a thing that is both. Lego Batman makes fun of Batman in a way that shows that they don't hate it.
Yes,
and it also is true to Batman.
Yep,
it's respectful of the Batman canon, and it grows the story.
And so you just said something that I think is probably a huge idea, and probably something we can explore for an entire stream. It is like it makes fun of Batman in a way that shows they don't hate it,
right?
And Tommy and I have our buddy Barry. And one of the things that Barry says about Superman movies is he goes, my problem with the Superman movies is that they don't get, the new ones particularly, is that they don't have someone in charge of it who likes Superman. Clearly, whoever's making the Superman movies don't like Superman. Yeah. So they try to change him. It's like embrace who Superman is and make that movie, and don't try to change it. So
make a Superman movie. Don't make something else. Yeah.
That's why I know we're way off topic now, but the Star Trek movies, the original ones, the original cast, the Star Trek Wrath of Khan, was written and directed by Nicholas Meyer, and he was not a Star Trek fan,
right?
When they brought him in,
yeah,
but he knew what the show was,
right?
And he delivered a show that is respectful of Star Trek, but also moves it forward in a way that people who are hardcore nerds might not have done. Or people that were Star Trek haters have done. So he found that middle ground where he could deliver a really great Star Trek movie that everybody loves and remembers.
Yeah.
Even though he was not necessarily a fan.
Right. Yeah. The last thing you want to see, Ace agrees. He says Lego Batman is brilliant.
And I understand that the Warner Brothers, again, way off topic. I understand that the Warner Brothers people have their own way of doing stuff, and it's not my way of doing stuff.
Right.
But I don't understand how you make Superman and you don't bring in guys like Mark Waid.
Right.
To sort of, because
help design it. Yeah.
To help talk about it. I mean, even if
consult.
Maybe he's not going to write the movie for you. Maybe he's not going to produce it or direct it, whatever.
Right.
Fine. He should consult on it and
sort of set out make it Superman.
The structure, because there isn't anybody I have ever met in comics who gets Superman better than Mark Waid.
Yeah. I don't understand that either. And it's not like, it's not like I demand a geek to make it, but I want someone who likes and appreciates the character, the world, someone who has an affinity for that to make it, because I want to see that reflected.
The thing that I like about, again, way off topic, the thing that I like about Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that he embodies all of the stuff of Captain America without being corny.
Yes.
Without being like old fashioned or old man. And nobody watches Captain America in the MCU and goes, okay, boomer. And so it's
true.
And Chris Evans really, and it's written well, and Evans really pulls it together with the sort of patriotic sincerity that makes you care.
Yeah.
And you want that same kind of attitude with Superman.
Yep.
It's just the sincerity and the caring, not the cynicism and not the anger. I guess.
Yeah, because the cynicism's already with the guy creating the movies. I mean, that's the problem with everything that's been done since the Donner movies. There's cynicism. Oh, Superman doesn't work. So why should I try to make him like the comics? We need to improve him. We need to change him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's a reason people love him.
And we'll talk about we can talk about ask me about Warner Brothers off the air.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
But I think we also might say the same thing about a lot of our geekdom things that we see translated from one thing to another, right? Is that we want to see somebody doing that who has an affinity for it. Not just Superman, not just Batman, but we're talking about I'm trying to think of the Dark Horse movie that was not quite like the comic.
Barbed Wire.
Or
maybe you're thinking of Hellboy? Or
well, I mean, you think of
Or any of those. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to see someone make that who has an affinity for the original. They don't, I don't need them to be a huge geek, but I need them. I think as the geek, I want to see them respect it and not make fun of it out of hatred or disrespect. But it's okay if they want to make fun of it in a way that reveals affinity and affection, right?
Well, as a Star Wars person, I love The Mandalorian because that to me shows everything about Star Wars that I want from those creative people. I might not like certain stories, I might not like certain directions, I might not like everything, but the guys who make The Mandalorian, and by guys I also mean the women too.
Right.
It's the people who make The Mandalorian really seem to care.
Yep.
And they're really putting in attention to detail, and they're really, breaking my heart in many ways. And I'm once again I'm in a position where I feel for a little puppet character.
Right.
so
I know Tommy does. All I heard was Grogu, Grogu for that while that show was on from Tommy.
When in the early episodes when he's endangered, it's like I'm on the edge of my seat, and it takes me a second to realize, it's just
that's just a darn puppet.
but the Muppets work the same way. The original Muppets work the same way.
Yep.
They do.
Forget that they're
you think they're real. Yeah. You just
Kermit the Frog is real. It's not just a voice.
Right.
he is real. Yeah.
Yep.
So I've seen him on talk shows. He's real.
Of course he is.
That's right. Dave Rio says like the Crow. Yeah, like the Crow. Crow was I'm assuming probably everybody on the stream probably read the Crow.
Yeah.
Fantastic comic, right? So
well, it was just announced the ElfQuest movie or the ElfQuest animated series is coming out.
Really?
I saw that. Yeah.
And it took the
How
Peonies
long?
like 40 years of development to find people who could make the movie their way and could get the series to a yes.
Right.
Because it's two things. You got to find somebody who believes in your vision, and who could execute that vision, but you also got to find somebody who can pony up the money.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes those two things are not the same people, and sometimes those two things don't always agree.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to make that decision. Well, is that enough money that I don't care?
Right. Because at a certain point you're getting older.
Right.
Yeah. At what point do I need to sell out?
Right.
I just want this thing to be done. Yeah.
I've got 2 other children. I can
spare a third.
I could sell one of them.
Tom just gave me another idea for a stream.
It's not about selling other people's children.
Yeah.
I can't be involved in that discussion.
Child slavery. That's the next Sunday Silverline.
Oh,
you see my list growing right here, right? All right. So I forgot to do this at the top of the stream. For those of you who backed the Switchblade and the Cray Kickstarter, all of those books are en route to you. So so keep your eyes posted. We had I absolutely love these.
You're blinding everybody with those.
I know.
I
if I was a
love
vampire now, I'd be dust.
foil versions of these, and this is the kind of thing that we're gonna focus on for our Kickstarter exclusives.
Yeah, those metallics turned out really good for that.
They just look great. Tommy took these and worked his magic on this, and Tommy's fantastic. Yeah. So I just have to keep
my
doing this.
Kickstarter project rolling.
Oh, we definitely.
I want one for my Kickstarter project.
Yes, you will absolutely get one for your Kickstarter project. Yeah, you absolutely will. Yeah. So those.
Do we know more about it yet? Can we talk about it yet?
Nope.
No. Okay, never mind. All right, next.
We're getting close though.
Yes.
Okay. Every week, I keep asking. Every week.
I'm gonna this is all part of the pre-tease. I'm just gonna lay it out.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. All right.
I also dropped a little tease in the Ultraverse Facebook group. I don't know if you just from the group is listening from the Ultraverse in the Ultraverse Facebook group just a little bit earlier today. So
oh, you rascal!
I know. Well, all right. My clock says my timer says we've been on for an hour. You guys have it?
Dang, it only feels like 30 minutes for me.
I think we should thank Hank for dropping in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Hank and David Rios,
Media Fire,
Rob,
yeah, all the other guys.
Let's see who else. Captain Finity Temporis Maximus, all you guys who dropped in and left comments. I know that there's and Cody from Comic Chat Authority. I know a lot of folks come in and don't leave comments, but thank you guys for leaving comments.
They're watching. That's what we want.
Yep, as you probably figured out, we love your comments because you ask questions and we like to dive. We're very easily sidetracked on your questions, and we don't mind that one bit.
I like the comments that start off with "Tom is correct." those are my favorite comments. So keep those coming.
Pop said, "Good show, everyone." Anybody? Any final thoughts on Motion Comics? Anybody?
They say they're not very good. Nobody. Yeah, just either make it an animation thing or just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Refrain from it.
Don't do it.
It's the nicotine of comics. Don't do it
unless
you're ready for the format.
Well, unless you're ready for the format, or what's the other reason?
Well, someone gives you a ton of money.
Somebody gives you a ton of money.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
All right, guys. On Tuesday, that Silverline Show on Tuesday, they're going to be talking about best comics for snow days. What an appropriate topic for the day. What we read while stuck indoors. The gang talks about their rituals and reading habits for when they get stuck inside. The P&W, I don't know what that is. Just had a snowstorm, so break out the hot cocoa.
Pacific Northwest.
Oh, okay. Pacific Northwest. That makes sense now. Consider I'm on the catty corner exact opposite end of I had no idea what that was. Just had a snowstorm, so break out the hot cocoa and the books. That's Tuesday. The Wednesday Whammers are going to be talking about kids comics. What's available for kids today? And they're going to highlight Bear, which for those of you who might not know, is going to be second issue is going to be part of the next Kickstarter.
Yes, and I'm working on a cover for it.
Yes, I hope so.
I am.
Next week, we are going to have the other half of what I always viewed as the Malibu dynamic duo, Tom Mason's partner in crime there, Mr. Chris Alm.
Does he know that?
He knows that. Yep. We have swapped. I need to remind him, I need to remind him that Sunday will still be Sunday. That's right. Sunday.
Sunday comes on a Sunday this year.
Sunday comes on a Sunday this year. That's right. So a lot of you know his name, but Chris was the editor-in-chief of Malibu during, I guess, most of the run there. But we're going to get his origin story and see if he has some behind the scenes. Good juicy tidbits he wants to give us, and Tom.
I'm betting he does.
I'm betting he does too. if he will tell us, that'll be the question. And for Monty, you're not allowed to ask him your usual question.
Oh, come on.
Because he probably has more than anybody.
All right, I won't ask him anything. If I can make it, that's when my plane flies back in tonight.
That's
so we'll
right.
see.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot about that. So that should be fun. I know Tom and Chris pal around a bunch in San Diego. I don't know if you pal around any other time, but
I'm gonna see him at WonderCon.
Sweet.
And
nice.
And I would have seen him at New Year's, but that didn't happen this year. So
for him or you?
For all of us.
Oh, for all of you. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Chris and Dave always get together for New Year's.
Oh, and it didn't happen this year. No. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's part of the Sadness Comics Network.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Got another comment just as David Rios says, see you at WonderCon, Tom.
Excellent.
So crap, I know his real name, but I can't remember what his name is. He's not here to say.
Dave Rios, Rios.
Yeah, no. One of our usual supporters here. Don't forget to like and subscribe on whatever channel, whatever network you are watching us on. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, remember to always Hold on, I gotta get it.
I don't have anything to say.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Hi, my name is Paul Kupperberg. Make mine Silverline.